development, which is the lecture will be given by Associate Professor Dr. Noorminshah A.Iahad that already came today. How are you, Professor?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Before we continue into our lecture, I would like to introduce about our speaker first. Associate Professor Dr. Noorminshah A.Iahad graduated from the University of Manchester in 2008. She has supervised master and PhD students in the areas such as health informatics, gamification, e-learning, mobile learning, and computer-supported project-based learning. Today, she held the position as the Secretary of Malaysian Association for Information System in 2017 and is a member of IEE since 2014. Okay, before we continue for our lecture, I would like to remind you, Prof, that you have 50 minutes to give the lecture for today, because after 50 minutes, we will continue our lecture into the question and answer session for 30 minutes. And after that, you have 10 minutes for the closing statement. Is it clear, Prof?
Okay, inshallah.
Okay. So without any ado, for Professor Dr. Noorminshah A.Iahad, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon, everyone. I think I've seen some of you in my previous lecture. It's great to meet you again, and welcome to everyone that I haven't met. So today I would like to share you actually my life experience with the Agile software development for developing enterprise software. Okay, so let me share my screen. That's my screen. Okay, all right. Okay, so for your information, for those who are not aware yet, I'm now at the Information Systems Department at Azman Hashim International Business School. I was at the School of Computing from the year 2000 to 2017. But then when there are some merging of faculties in UTM, the Faculty of Computing has been put under Faculty of Engineering. Okay, so the Information Systems Department thinks that we are better at the business school rather than the School of Computing. So now I am at the Azman Hashim International Business School. All right. At the same time, for your information, I'm holding an administrative position in UTM. I have been appointed as the IT manager for the Department of Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation. So if you can see at the picture down there, that is me with my team, software development team. Okay, so basically the role of this team, basically my role is to plan, manage, and monitor development of research support systems for UTM. Okay, so previously, before 2010, there are a lot, of course, there are systems to manage academic matters, for example, to manage students' course registration, students' attendance, students' details, and so on. But there is lacking of research systems. In 2010, University Technology Malaysia has received the status of research university status. Okay, so that's why we need to have support systems to ensure that we manage our data systematically. So basically, for this team, I have 5 system analysts and then 1 infrastructure, or we call network engineer, 13 programmers, 2 documenters, those who are in charge of ensuring that all the systems are properly documented, and then also 1 human resource executive. So basically, this is my team. Some of them is not in the picture, but this is basically the role of the a unit called UTM Research Computing. Okay, so basically these are the systems that we would develop and we maintain. We have around 11 systems. Basically, it is the Radis number 1. It has been developed since 2010 using the Java framework. However, in 2016-17, we found that the framework is obsolete, so we have to redevelop to ensure that the system is secure and so on. So all these 11 systems are actually started being developed and maintained since 2018. Okay. Right. So for your information, for our lecture today, this is our journey for today. What are we going to look at? Number one, I will share why should we go agile. Okay. Number two, limitations of the waterfall approach. I'm sure that you have learned various types of approaches in system development, but of course, the most popular ones is waterfall. Okay. So I will share with you the limitations of the waterfall. Number three, the agile approach. And then finally, I will go through a bit on the case study at UTM Research Computing. Okay, so number one, why should we go agile? Okay, so let's look at the definition of agile. In general, it means the ability to move quickly and easily. Okay, that's the meaning of agile generally. If we look into the systems development context, it means relating or denoting a method of project management, okay, used specifically or especially for software development that is characterized by the division of tasks. Okay, so that's important. Division of tasks into short phases of work and frequent reassessment and adaptation of plans. Okay, so meaning the bigger job is divided or divided into smaller tasks. Okay, and then there are frequent reassessment, adaptation, and also what we normally know as iterations. Okay, so agile there is one website called Agile Alliance. Okay, so this is the core reference for agile software development. So this is the definition provided by that community. So agile is the ability to create and respond to change. It is a way of dealing with and ultimately succeeding in an uncertain and turbulent environment. Okay, look at the situation today in the pandemic of COVID-19 since 2020. 2020. Actually, look at this example. Let's look at these examples. The A.Asia example. I'm giving you an example from my point of view where I'm in Malaysia. Yeah. So for example, I want to relate this with the concept of agile. A.Asia is mainly a company that is a transportation company, right? That brings passengers from destination A to destination B. Okay, but when the pandemic happened, people don't travel. So Tony Fernandez have to have a backup plan. Okay. Plan B. So what they have done is they have come out with the food delivery services or food delivery business. Okay, so that happened in November 2020. So I think it takes quite some time also for Tony Fernandez to decide what to do. Okay, so you can look at the website here, the newsroom. So the news is on the 18th of November 2020. So Asia has to find out another business to do to make sure that they can still maintain their business. Okay, so those people who are working with Asia for the transportation has been reverted, okay, or transformed to those who are in charge of the food delivery, where they call teleporters. Okay, all right. So this is one example. I'll give you another example. This is a very nice hotel in Johor Bahru. If you come to Johor Bahru, there is a city called Iskandar Putri. Okay, this is a hotel. Last time it was Shangri-La, but now it is called Jen Hotel, a very nice hotel. Okay, a nice hotel normally will have a very nice premium restaurant, right? But what happened during the pandemic is, okay, they have to be agile enough. What they do is they come up with the idea of street hawkers. Okay, so this is a real picture that I took when I went there. I think last 2-3 weeks. Last 3 weeks. So from a luxury restaurant that sells maybe one plate of nasi goreng for sometimes 25 ringgit. Okay, they are selling food for the last time I went here and I bought one plate of kueh piao goreng. Okay, so it costs only 7 ringgit. Okay, so they have to be agile enough to make sure that they survive. Okay, so basically I just want to relate these examples to show the meaning of agile. Okay, the ability to change quickly. Okay, this is another example that I found in the newspaper, online news, of course. Okay, so hotels turning to street food to make ends meet, okay, to survive. So this is also Jen Hotel, the same hotel like in Johor Bahru, but this is in Penang, Georgetown. All right. So that's basically an example of, just now the first is example of transportation, like flights. Yeah. This is hotel example. And then let me show you an example of how Malaysia managed the pandemic for the citizens. Okay. So when the pandemic came, initially it was very difficult to track and trace those who have the infected with the COVID-19. Okay, so initially to trace the contact, and then we don't have any, actually we don't have any apps at the beginning. Okay, but then the government, the Ministry of Health has to act quickly. So they come out with these mobile apps. These are actually the interfaces of the mobile apps called My Sejahtera. Okay, so this apps is used to track and trace the Malaysian citizens, where they are, whereabouts. Okay, so anywhere that I go, so I should check in. So actually this one is the latest function. Previously, last 2-3 months, there's no check-in feature. Okay, but lately, recently they have included this check-in feature. I'm just smiling and laughing because actually, you know, there's one, when they implemented this feature, it's funny because sometimes you check in a restaurant, or let's say you go to a supermarket, okay, at 5 p.m, then you forget to check out. So it's like you are sleeping at the at the supermarket. But that's another story lah. Okay, so that's another story that we have to cater when we do the user requirements. But that is what actually happened. For now, the My Sejahtera has not like checked out itself after 2 or 3 hours, not yet. Okay, so just sharing with you. And then for the last one, when I have already been vaccinated 2 doses, so I have this digital certificate. When firstly I got my second dose, it is still white in color. After the 14 days, then it turned into yellow. Then only it appears fully vaccinated, and I can dine in outside. I can, go to shopping malls and so on. Okay. All right. So this is an example whereby in a short period of time, the software has to change the functions, increase, okay, the functions that it has or it offers rapidly, quickly. Okay. So that's related to agility. Okay. The next one, another example that I would like to share with you is this is our UTM mobile apps. We call it UTM Smart. There are various functions, but what I'm showing you here is with the pandemic situation, we have to work from home. Okay, at certain times, we are required to work at the office. So there are various status of staff, and then also staff have to check in or slide in every morning. Okay, all right. So if you look at the first very left-hand side, you can see that these are the main features. There are QR scan, attendance, leave management. If I want to take leave or I want to verify my staff leave, okay, and then these two other screens are staff movement. Okay, so this is an example whereby I have to apply to work at the office, so a university department or special assignment. I forgot to screenshot, but this one for example is when I'm working at home. So it's 4 kilometers away from UTM, so Muteruni is basically my home. So this is another example whereby UTM Digital, which is the core UTM IT services department, has to frequently add the features, frequently change the features as required from time to time, because the regulations always change. After sometimes, for example, last 6 months, we can work like 60% at the office. And then after some time when the pandemic has gone really bad, we have to decrease on all working at home. So the apps has to be versatile enough to cater all these requirements. Okay, so this is another example. All right, so you can actually, if you Google search, you can find this article in the Harvard Business Review. So why is it that we should use agile practice? Okay, so it is a competitive advantage for a digital age. Okay, so it has steadily risen to become trusted and preferred methods of development for software teams everywhere. Okay, so using agile, organizations can respond to market changes faster, deliver higher quality software, and gain a significant competitive advantage. So this is the general overview of why or what are the advantages of using agile practice. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this, the promise of agile development. Why is it that agile development is being promoted, and why is it I believe that we should go agile? Okay, so this is basically based on my and my team's experience, which we think based on what we have done, what we have conducted, made all the users happy, made all the system owners happy that we try to deliver as soon as possible the functions that they need. Okay, so if we look at this table, so that the development goals in terms of quality. Okay, so defect escape rates decrease. So defect escape rates decrease meaning there are less errors. Okay, in terms of the quality because in agile development, testing is really being emphasized. Okay, all programmers are also testers, so the quality is defects are decreased. Okay, then time to market, from their survey, it improves 18 to 20%. Okay, time productivity improves 14 to 95%. Okay, towards the team who is developing the system. Cost, it can reduce cost by 7% to 29% depending on the system, yeah. And then employee satisfaction improves 20% to 40%. So these are the promise of agile development. I haven't made any survey to my staff, but I don't know, but I think they are happy. But I'm not sure whether they are happy. The improvement is 30% or 30%. I have not made any survey, but maybe I should do that later while reading these slides. Yeah. Okay. So next, number 2, limitations of the waterfall approach. Okay. Can someone share with me, what do you think about the waterfall? Anyone want to share with me?
Anyone maybe? About the waterfall?
We have Halim Resen here.
Okay.
Apa tu? Sorry.
Halim raised his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. Please answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I have opinion about the waterfall approach. I think because it says that it is a waterfall approach, so it's like a waterfall, like literally waterfall. So it follows some kind of structure. It follows some kind of flows. So any steps that has to be taken in this approach should be in order. I mean, it should follow the order from 1, 2, 3, and so on. And so I think that's it for the waterfall approach from my point of view. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That's a good answer. Okay, so basically it's structured. We should follow step by step. Okay, we cannot skip one step after another. Okay, so waterfall, it goes from up to the bottom, right? So we should follow step by step. We cannot skip any step. So that's one of the general limitation of the waterfall approach. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so waterfall technique is popular in the 1970s. Well, actually, it's being introduced, okay, in the 1970s. Like now it's 40 years above. 40, 50, almost 50 years maybe, yeah, about 50 years plus. So it breaks down software development into discrete steps, like just now Halim mentioned. It's a very discrete steps which are planning, design, development, testing, and implementation, with each step occurring in sequence. Okay, so it is in sequence, berturutan, okay, with no overlap. Okay, no overlap. So this linear approach can take a long time to complete projects, okay, often years, depending on how big is the system, and frequently makes it difficult to adapt to changing requirements. So this is another limitation. It's quite difficult to adapt to changing requirements because for system development that follow the waterfall approach, they will ensure that the requirements is complete, then they will go to another step. Okay, so it's difficult to change the requirements, especially those big requirements. Okay, and market needs, difficult to adapt to changing requirements, market needs, or fix mistakes made in an earlier step. Okay, then number 4 is it tends to spawn departmental silos due to the functional nature of the discrete steps. What does this mean? This means that people, or maybe like we look into this system into a single unit of departments. What we mean by silos is we look into it differently. We don't look into it in a vertical manner. We could look into it in a horizontal manner. For example, marketing only marketing, HR only HR. Okay, so that's the problem with waterfall technique, right? So other problems with the model, okay, by a report by Standish, that one is not a year, that's one is the number of the report. So noted the following: 31 of projects will be cancelled before they are completed. Okay, 53% of the projects will cost more than 189% of their estimates, meaning the cost is higher than what is expected or what it should be. Okay, only 16% of projects were completed on time and on budget. Okay, for the largest companies, completed projects delivered only 42% of the original features and functions. Okay, so I will ask you this question again. There's one question that I want to ask you. Okay, so look at these limitations. There's one thing that makes these limitations, that resulted in these limitations. Okay, so these are the problems with the models that in general, we can say that waterfall model is not a suitable model for all. I'm not saying that it's wrong, okay, but it's not that suitable model for us to use. What type of model is for your final year project, for example, it's a small scale project, probably it is okay. Okay, but for a larger projects, probably it's not suitable. Let's look at why I said this. Okay, so in addition, it appears that an effective treatment of requirements was a primary root cause. Okay, so again, it goes back to the user requirements. The root cause is the user requirements because there were the 3 most common factors that cause project to be challenged. Okay, these are the 3 main factors related to the user requirements. Number 1 is lack of user input, 13% of all projects. Incomplete requirements and specifications, 12% of all projects, and changing requirements and specifications, 12% of all projects. Okay, so of course, we can never know that requirements are 100% complete every time, but we can use another approach other than waterfall to make sure that the requirements are met by the users. Okay, but these are the limitations of the waterfall model because we follow a sequential approach. All right, let's look at this. Look at this line from start to finish. If we look at the waterfall model, okay, it's sequential from start to finish, meaning we have to start planning first, and then only we go to design, development, testing, and implementation. Remember just now, I said it's not overlapping. Okay. For agile development, we are actually making iterations, few cycles. Okay, these few cycles from start to finish. We develop a system for an enterprise or for small scale projects with these cycles that we call sprints. Okay, later I will explain more about these sprints. Okay, so if you look at from start to finish, this one is very sequential, very structured. This one is, of course, this is also structured, but we divide the whole system into various small phases, various small requirements. Okay, so basically this is in general the difference between waterfall and the agile model. Okay, another thing, why is it waterfall is lacking, or the limitation of waterfall? Okay, so remember just now I mentioned about the user requirements. Okay, so when we use the waterfall model, we have defined, or we should define, all the requirements of the system that we want to develop. Okay, so in waterfall model, the requirements is fixed. For example, we want to develop a system. Okay, just example. Okay, an e-commerce system. We are a vendor. We are developing for our customer. Okay, so we use a waterfall model. So let's say 2 months or 1.5 months, we sit with them, ask them the requirements and so on. Then they are happy with the requirements. We estimate that it will be completed in 6 months, for example. Okay, so by using the waterfall model, we have fixed the requirements. Okay, so with this, with the fixed requirements, we estimate the cost and we do this. We plan the schedule. Okay, so if you look at what I have here, so one key study of 1,027 IT projects in the UK reported that scope management related to attempting waterfall practices was the single largest contributing factor for failure. What means here is scope management. It means that they have fixed the requirements. Okay, that causes one of the single largest contributing factor of failure. Okay, so this suggests that the approach of full requirements definition followed by a long gap before the requirements are delivered is no longer appropriate. Just imagine the beginning of the phase, you conduct or you take the requirements. Then after 6 months, you deliver the system. Okay, so it takes a very long gap for the users to really know how the systems look like. Okay, sometimes during the requirements, the user says, I want this. But after 6 months, after let's say 1 year, you deliver the system. When they test the system, no, I don't want this. Just imagine. Okay, so that's one of the example. Okay, so the high ranking of changing business requirements suggests that any assumption that there will be little significant change to requirements when they have been documented is fundamentally flawed. What this statement means that normally in a waterfall approach, the vendor or the developer will finalize that requirements, and they will only allow small changes. Okay, significant change is not advised or not being accepted. Of course, they can accept the big changes, but you have to pay more later. Okay, and then this will delay the project. This will delay the system development. Right? Okay, this is something interesting. Winston Royce, okay, who introduced the waterfall, okay, who was at TRW at the time. TRW is the organization that he was working at the time. In Malaysia, TRW is the Red Warrior. The Red Warrior is a football team. So this is not a football team. This is a company that Winston Royce was working at. Okay, oftenly credited with the creation of this model. So when we talk about waterfall, okay, it's originated from Winston Royce. Okay, but it is interesting to know this, that actually Winston Royce wrote this. In my experience, the simpler model actually refers to the waterfall model, has never worked on large software development efforts. Okay, so actually the founder or the person who developed or who introduced the waterfall model already defined or already mentioned that the waterfall model is not suitable for large software development. All right, but unfortunately, not many people look into this. So most developers still use the waterfall model. Okay, probably not now, probably not these 2-3 years, because nowadays I think most organizations has gone agile. Okay. All right, so next, let's look at the agile approach. I'm looking at my time, so it's already about 29 minutes. Okay, we still have time. Okay, the agile approach. For the agile approach, as I showed you just now, we have, let's say this is the beginning of the project, and the end of the project. So basically, the whole project is being divided into various, what we call sprints, various cycle sprints. Okay, so and most importantly, it delivers incrementally. So for each sprint, something is delivered to the product owner or to the customer. Right, so there are 3 primary concepts of the agile software development. Number 1 is iterative approach to development. Okay, so when we talk about agile, it must be or it will be iterative. Number 2, short feedback loops. And number 3, disciplined project management process. Okay, so agile method is also known as agile project management approach. Okay, so in general, it's a project management approach whereby it involves many sprints. Okay, and in each sprint there are specific details. Okay, let's look into it later after this. Yeah. Okay, this agile concept has been introduced by about 16 influential software engineers, software developers in 2001. They come up with this 4 agile manifesto. Okay, individuals and interactions are more important compared to processes and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Okay, from my experience, looking at organizations that use waterfall model. Okay, as I mentioned just now, when we use waterfall, we identify or we finalize requirements at the very beginning. So the documentation is very comprehensive. Okay, but I'm not saying that when we use agile, we don't need any documentation. We still need, but it is not the main focus. Okay, but the main focus is a working software. All right, compared to comprehensive documentation. The third manifesto is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Okay, because we must collaborate iteratively, repeatedly with our customers. And then the fourth one is responding to change over following a plan. Okay, so rather than just following the plan rigidly, we must respond to change. That is why there is a need to really identify the small functions, so that for each function or various functions, we can conduct it in a sprint, in one cycle. Okay, so responding to change is one of the core values, one of the 4 core values that is very important in the agile development. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, so in the 2001 meeting, they have come out with these 12 agile principles behind the agile manifesto. So number 1, the highest priority is satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Okay, so those are the keywords: satisfying customers and early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Number 2, welcome changing requirements even late in the development. So if we are doing agile, we cannot say that no, I'm sorry, we cannot cater, we cannot take your requirements. Okay, so if we are doing agile, we should welcome changing even late in the development. So those who are in the agile software development should be someone who, especially the systems analyst, should be quite powerful, because or else it will be difficult. There must be a framework to develop the software so that it is easy or it is scalable. You can, it is easy for you to change the requirements and so on. All right, I'm smiling actually looking at number 2 because my team is developing the system for our university, so it's very highly customized, and we can say that requirements change is almost every day. So that's why I'm smiling. Okay, so number 3, deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Okay, so we don't take months to deliver. We provide small functions and we can show the customers or our users. Okay. Number 4, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Okay, so there must be a close interaction and communication between the users and the owners or the users and the developers. Okay, number 5, build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. Okay, number 5, okay, this is quite important for me to highlight. In an agile software development, it is preferred that the teams are co-located. Co-located meaning they are in one place. Not distributed, not someone in Johor, someone in Kuala Lumpur, or someone is in Surabaya, someone is Semarang, not like that. It should be co-located, preferably, okay, preferably. But of course, with the technologies nowadays, we can use tools to make sure that the teams can work properly. But preferably, it should be co-located, meaning in one place, whereby they can communicate with each other and they can build the trust with each other. They can work collaboratively, nicely with each other. Okay. So again, when I look at this number 5, all my teams, of course, are in the office, and sometimes they just shout, Sheila, tolong buat ni, something like that lah. Okay. So there is a quite open space. Our office is open space. So we just shout whatever. Not of course not every day, but sometimes we just shout to each other to make sure that everybody has done what they should do. Okay, so number 6, agile processes promote sustainable development. Okay, the sponsors, the developers, users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Okay, promote sustainable development meaning it can be continuously developed. Okay, that software is that we intend to function can be continuously developed. Okay, so number 7, working software is the primary measure of the progress. Okay, what is the progress? How do we measure the progress? Is a working software. Okay, number 8, the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to end and within development is face-to-face conversation. This is also related to what I mentioned just now, number 5. Okay, Agile prefer face-to-face conversation. Okay, number 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Okay, so this is related to actually the skills, technical excellence, the skills of the developers and also the systems analysts. Okay, so I think that's why it is very important for the whole team to keep on learning new things. Okay, for your information, my team initially developed the systems using .NET and CV, but then they moved to .NET Core and open source. So they learn by themselves, and they know what is better for the university and so on for long-term sustainable development, of the system. So technical excellence, good design enhances agility. Okay, number 10, simplicity. Try to do it as simple as possible. And then number 11, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Okay, and then number 12, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So if you look at everything in these 12 principles, actually the core that drives this agile approach is the team. Okay, if the team is okay, if the team is excellent, if they are very committed, inshallah the outcome will be as expected. Okay, but there is one person that is the core that will inshallah ensure that everything goes well. Let's look next. Okay, so this is the big picture of the agile enterprise. Okay, so in this picture, we can see that, let's look from the bottom, okay? From the bottom, it's the project view or team view, and then the upper is the program view, and the highest is the portfolio view. If we look at the very bottom, the project view or team view is where the system development happens, okay? And the program is at the upper level, whereby it is in charge by the product managers, release management team, to ensure that the system is being released. Okay, it's completed and then it being released and it can be used. Okay, and the portfolio level is more on the manager level, more on the top management level, to decide which part of the system that should be prioritized. Okay, so but for this lecture, I'm going to focus on the very bottom level, which is the project or team level, because this is the level, or this is the view that is closely related to the software development. Okay, all right, look at the very bottom level. We have agile teams, we have product owner and agile master, and then we have the components and features, we have stories, tasks, and spikes. Okay, so let's look at this in detail. Okay, let's look at this first. The agile team, there are three main categories of people responsible in the agile team, which is product owner, Scrum or agile master, or also we can known as the systems analyst, and then developers and testers. Okay, 4 to 6. Product owner is the owner of that system. For example, we develop research and development information systems. This system is to manage research projects, research grants for UTM researchers. The owner of the system is Research Management Center at UTM. So Research Management Center is the product owner. Okay, so for each product owner, there is a systems analyst or Scrum or Agile Master attached with that product owner. Okay, and then with this group, there are about 4 to 6 developers and testers. Okay, they are developers and testers. For my team, yeah, they work 2 modes. They should be the developers and they are also the testers. Some agile teams, they have different developers and different testers. Okay, 4 to 6. All right. Then in some organizations, or when the systems being developed is quite huge, quite big, so there are what we call pods of agile teams. Pods of agile teams, meaning in one system development, there are many agile teams, many developers and testers. Okay, so this is just definitions of terms, pods of agile teams. All right. So what happened to these agile teams? What do they do? Okay, in agile software development method approach, what is important is user stories. Okay, I would like you to remember these 4 terms: user stories, task, team, and backlog. So when system analysts meet the product owner, meet the users, potential users of the system, they will ask the requirements. What do they need? Okay, this is called user stories. In Waterfall, they call it user requirements, but user stories is more atomic, is smaller, and it is divided into more smaller cases. I'll show you afterwards example of user stories. Okay, and then from user stories, if you look at this figure, there are various user stories. So let's say we have user story 1 and 2, it becomes feature 1, user story 3 and 4, it becomes feature 2, and so on. Okay, for each user stories, there are tasks. ST is task, okay? Subtasks, subtasks. So for user story 2, for example, there are 4 subtasks. So these are the tasks that will be divided among developers. So the systems analyst or the Scrum Master, Agile Master, define the user stories. Then they will divide all these user stories to the developers, known as subtasks. Okay, so somebody will program this subtask, somebody will program subtask 2, and so on. Okay, then from these features, they become theme. Okay, so probably this one, team one is one big module, and then big module number 2 and big module number 3. So all these requirements that have been captured in the agile development, we call it backlog. Okay, backlog. All right. So this is an example of user stories. As a credit card holder, I want to view my statement balance so that I can pay the balance due. So this is an example when a systems analyst or Scrum Master meet the user or the product owner, getting the requirements. So this is just an example, yeah, of user stories. So the subtask to ensure that the developer and tester can do their job, so it has to be divided into subtasks. So display statement balance upon authentication, display total balance, show payment due date, okay, and display error message and so on. Of course, these are subtasks, and then later you have to convert this into data flow diagrams and so on, like what you have learned in your class. Okay, but these are basically the concepts in the agile development. You have user stories and subtasks. Okay, so remember just now I mentioned that for agile development, there are many sprints. So if you remember just now the backlog, okay, so when we have the requirements, we have the product backlogs. So what is sprints? We choose certain backlogs. Okay, so we come up with what we call sprint backlogs. So from that sprint backlogs, we do one sprint, one cycle of the development and testing, we deploy, and then we deliver to the customer. Okay, so then after finish one sprint, we do another sprint, and so on. So meaning by doing this, we divide the bigger user requirements to smaller ones. We develop and deliver, and so on until it is completed. Okay, so that makes the users happy that they can see what is being developed from time to time, and they can give their feedback, what should be improved. Okay, so one of the process or one of the activities that is done by the team members of the Agile is what we call daily stand-up meetings. So it's daily. So everyone needs to talk about maximum 2 minutes. All right. So let's see. So if you search Google, if you Google search the Agile software development, you will find this. You will find this Scrum, Kanban, DevOps. So all these are actually using Agile methods. Okay, so Agile Approach, excuse me. Agile Approach is the umbrella, payungnya ya, payung. So under Agile Approach, there are these subsets. Okay, you can use Scrum. There are specific method for Scrum. You can use Kanban. Okay, Kanban is method whereby you divide your task into various tasks. For example, you have the stories, what to do, what is in progress, task testing and done. Okay, and then you can also find this what we call DevOps. DevOps is an agile method as well. It is looking into the very continuous interaction and communication between the developers, okay, basically the dev, and also ops, the operations, meaning the product owner. And there are usage of various tools to make sure that the development is very systematic. Okay, I would say that my team is using DevOps, but for now not yet fully use all these tools, not all. Okay, but some like we are using Git, last time we are using Jira, but now we are moving to other software, and then AWS, of course, cloud server, but we are not using Amazon's. Okay, so we are using Kubernetes and Docker. Okay, so this is an example of different types of agile methods. Okay. Okay, I think I have about, looking at my watch, I think I have about 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Mr. Chairperson, I hope I can, inshallah, I will finish maybe five more minutes. Okay, just sharing you a case study at UTM Research Computing. So as I mentioned just now, we have 11 systems, but the ones that really we are using agile methods are the ones that I colored in green, about 6 systems. Okay. So the process, what we do to make sure that following the Agile method, normally the Scrum Master or the systems analyst, what he or she will do is we will have a meeting with product owners, get user stories, get their requirements. Okay, and then what we will do is design mockup using Balsamiq. Okay, this is the software that I promoted to my team, I think in 2015. That time, I found Balsamiq, so I think it's good. So I'll just tell them let's use Balsamiq. So we use Balsamiq. Show mockup and review and revise. So this is an example of interface using Balsamiq. Okay, after getting the user requirements, the systems analyst came out with this mockup. Okay, and then show it. We have another discussion with the product owners. Show the mockup, review and revise. Okay, for your information, this number 2 and number 3 happens iteratively, not only one time, not only 2 times, sometimes 2-3 times, depending on the owner. Sometimes maybe 2 times, sometimes 3 times. Okay, then the systems analyst will design tables and then assign to programmers what we call just now the subtask. Okay. All right. Just want to share with you this drawing of this interface example is what we call wireframing. Okay, wireframing. So these are examples of another system, what we call UTM Lab, a system to manage laboratory equipments and chemical equipments and so on. Yeah. So this is also using Balsamiq. Why is it called wireframe? I just want to share why is it called wireframe, because by designing the wireframe, developing the wireframe, we can see the interactions between screens. For this one, this is an example of wireframing for mobile apps. Okay, but just now ours is not mobile apps; it's a web-based system. Okay. Next. All right. So just sharing with you, these are different types of wireframing software that you can use. Basically, these are the 3 that I have used with my staff, with my team, and also with my students. Balsamiq is used by the UTM Research Computing. Mockups, I have used this with my PhD student to design her system for programming, to learn programming collaboratively. Okay, and then this is Proto.io. You can also explore this, developing the wireframe using Proto.io. The interface is nicer using Proto.io. You can try, because I think this is one of the latest software that is available for wireframing. Okay, just want to share with you, this is an example of what I mentioned just now, daily stand-up meeting. So every day we have a stand-up meeting. Everybody needs to talk about 2 minutes to tell us what they have done yesterday and what they will do today. Okay, normally we'll do it in the morning at 9 a.m. Due to the pandemic, we have online sit-down meeting, not stand-up. Everybody sits at their place because of the pandemic. So we moved the time to 2 p.m. for the past maybe 6-7 months. But now, since we can work at the office, 80% of us can work at the office. So now we have moved it to, I think, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning. Later, we will change it to 9 a.m. when everybody can come to the office. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Dr. Noorminshah A.Iahad for the guest lecture that you have given for us today. Okay, because the lecture session already done, I would like to continue our event into the next session, which is the question and answer session. For those the participant who want to ask some question for Prof. Noorminshah, time is yours. Anybody want to ask something? Please do raise hand if you want to ask something. Okay, before the participants give their question, I would like to ask you first, Prof. Okay, so my question basically is that you already give us detail about the explanation of Agile and Waterfall things in the method of developing some technology. Uh, I would like to apologize if I don't get the point, but I want to ask you once more. I still have no idea when the time we will use the agile method and when the condition we will use the waterfall method, because I think these two methods, the implementation will be depends on the situation and condition, right? I still have no idea about the what the situation and condition is to use which one method. That's
Okay.
from me. Thank you, Prof.
All right, thank you. So if you ask me that question, from my experience, we should use agile methods when the system that we are developing is quite huge, large systems. Okay, and remember, we want to make sure that we deliver the results very quick. If you use the waterfall model, it might take a longer time. So as I mentioned just now, if, for example, you are developing a system for your final year project, right? You are now in your 5th semester, if I'm not mistaken, and then you want to do your final year project. So probably waterfall is okay because it's just a small system that you need to complete in 6 months, for example. Okay, so the gap between the user requirements and the delivery of the systems is not that long. Okay, and then there is no risk. You develop a system for just for your project, right? It does not incur costs. We don't really the time don't really matter because it's just for our project. Okay, but so I would say that for smaller types of system, it is possible. It is okay for you to use the waterfall. Okay, but for larger systems, it's better to use the agile. But however, whether you want to decide to use waterfall or agile, you should make this clear to the. For example, you are a vendor, yeah, or an organization who offers service. So you must from the beginning discuss with them. Are they okay with this agile, or do they want do they still want that everything is well defined, everything is well documented? Okay, remember, as I mentioned just now, when we do agile, comprehensive documented is quite impossible. Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Because based on my experience, sometimes I use the agile method to develop something, and usually we have some obstacle because one team and another team sometimes have miscommunication, so both of them not connected each other. So I think it's hard to implement agile without uh, the experience before. So if we want to try an agile, I think we should have a socialization first to understand about the agile first. Yeah, because
That's what I said just now. I think for agile, the most important person is the Scrum Master or the systems analyst. He or she must have vast experience because translating user stories to a system is not straightforward. So if you are new, probably it will be a challenge, a big challenge, because when you take the user stories, it involves communication and experience of that particular Scrum Master to really understand the requirements. Okay.
okay, thank you, Prof. I
Okay.
have a clear idea about both of the method. Okay, we'll be continue to the next question. We have Halim raised hand here. For Halim, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Dimas. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Halim, and I have a few questions actually. So the first question is about it's familiar to Dimas, but I want to ask the question that is it possible if we use agile, but in the dimension of homework, I mean assignments for college students? Because I feel like in this semester, especially in this 5th semester, we have a lot of group projects, and it takes a lot of energy for us to do the group projects. So I would like to know what are your opinions on using agile for assignments for college students. And also I have a second question. which is related to what Dimas already asked. He stated that the common problem for agile approach is the communication problems, and you have already mentioned that you need the Scrum Master to organize or develop everything. No, not develop everything, but trying to manage everything. But my question is, from your experience, what are the tools that you use to keep your team organized? I mean, for example, maybe Google Spreadsheet or maybe Notions or those kind of stuff. I
Okay.
think that's it, my questions. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. For the first question, is it possible for students to use Agile? Do you mean for software development?
No, just regular assignments.
Oh,
Just
yes,
group
because
projects.
so not software development, right? Just a normal project, right?
Yeah, just regular
So
project.
from the beginning, you should identify, again, you remember the main thing is the backlogs, the definition of the assignment. So let's say in a group assignment, one of you must be the leader, right?
Yeah.
So the leader will act as the Scrum Master. Okay, so the Scrum Master will define, okay, teammates, these are the things that we have to do. These are the requirements provided by our lecturer. So let's break this into various parts. So sprint 1, let's finish task number 1. Okay, to finish this task number 1, make sure everybody, for example, use Google document. Everybody will type in something. Okay, then next we complete something. We come out with a deliverable. Maybe for example, part 1 of the report. Then we go to sprint 2, task number 2. And so on until you finish. So actually, for your information, Agile method is not being used only for software development, even in other aspects, in business, in customer services. So it's being used in many aspects. That's for your question number 1. For your question number 2, if you ask me, asking the question about the tools that my team use for communication. If I can share with you how they communicate or how they assign. I'm smiling actually because when you ask me that question, because we try to be innovative to assign the task from the Scrum Master to the developers. How we do it is we just use an open. Actually, it's like a help desk system. Okay, so a help desk system, instead of using it as a help desk, we use it whereby we use it in a way that the Scrum Master will assign tasks using each ticket. Okay, so the name, I think the name of this is an open source system. Open my staff is, one of my staff is here. Farizi, what is the name of the system? Open ticket.
OS ticket.
OS ticket. Okay, Mr. Lokman is also here. So OS ticket is actually an help desk system. We convert it into a task division system. Okay, so the Scrum Master will check from time to time either the system is already completed or not, number 1, and then to ensure that and to know that whether our developers have any problems whereby they are stuck. That's why we have the daily stand-up meeting, so that everybody will tell in the group, okay, I'm doing this, I have problem here, I'm stuck, for example, yeah. So anybody in the team who knows that the friend is stuck can help. So that's why just now we mentioned that it's important, it's preferred that everybody is co-located rather than in a distributed team. Okay, others tools that we use is Git. Okay, and then apa lagi Lokman? We use the Telegram to update the Git communication. What else, Farizi, Lokman, that we use? Maybe you can share. For communication, WhatsApp, the normal communication.
WhatsApp basic
The
WhatsApp.
basic WhatsApp.
Telegram.
Telegram.
Integrate with Telegram for
Git.
notification.
Okay, Git integrated with Telegram for notification. So basically those, and the natural, the normal one is like what I mentioned just now. We just shout to each other. Okay. All right. Thank you. I hope that answers.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my question. But I do have one more question.
Sure.
I wonder, like, it's looking as a student because we have many projects, I want to know, like, from your experience, how many projects are too much or too many for your teams? Especially for individuals, because we have to maintain our personal life, our work life, you know.
How many?
Yeah.
It at one time, maybe Farizi can share. At one time, certain developers do how many projects, Farizi? Maximum
Depends,
maybe 2.
Yeah, maximum 2. Some of them are three project and the 3 project, because each programmer will help another programmer and another project. So what we call that, sharing.
We share the expertise actually.
Yeah.
We share expertise. One of my members expert, for example, expert on SSO. So he or she help us to solve the SSO problem or something like that.
So basically, what my team is trying to say is, of course, I just now I showed the Agile team. You remember I showed the Agile team, right? So each team is dedicated to one system. For example, let's say team A is dedicated to system A, team B is dedicated to system B, and so on. However, each developers might also be involved with other projects, cross-functional teams. So in our team, maximum, one programmer can be involved in about three projects.
Actually, we are using the pooling system, right?
Pooling system.
Yes, pooling system.
What we call
pooling programmer.
Yes.
Programmer pooling, yeah.
What is a programmer pooling?
Programmer pooling meaning we have a pool of programmers. Okay, just like what I mentioned just now. Although we say, for example, let's say, okay, in this condition, when Mr. Farizi here is the Scrum Master for the system called UTM Lab. Okay, under him there are 2 core programmers. Okay, however, these 2 core programmers can also be borrowed by Miss Norbaidura. Okay, so they are cross-function, not necessarily these 2 programmers only work with Mr. Farizi. They can also work with Norbaidura or Mr. Wan Lokman. Okay, so that's what we call cross-function. So we don't want each developer to only have one experience developing one system only.
I see. Okay. So one person will have the maximum responsibility of 3 projects. Is that correct?
Yes, for a staff who develop system. But you cannot make it the same, or you cannot compare with student life. Student life is different.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask. I was wondering about how long is the duration of those 3 projects usually last? Is it
I
for
cannot
a year?
give you exact duration. Why? Because as I mentioned, we are developing for the university. The system is very, very highly customized. And the requirements change almost every day. So
we can only estimate, right, Doctor? Just estimate the guideline, the guide date, so that the exact we cannot say lah.
We have some estimation. For example, this system will be completed in 2 years, but probably it will be extended. For example.
Okay, I see. I've got the points, and thank you so much for your answer.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for Halim for the question, and thank you very much also for Prof. Noorminshah for the answer. Okay, maybe for the next question, anyone have any question again? For those who have a question, please do raise your hand. Okay, so before anyone asks their question again, I would like to ask you once more, Prof. For me, okay, we know about agile and waterfall things, and we also know that the benefit and the disadvantage that given by both of the method. But if I conclude that agile is more beautiful method, but it is harder to implement than the waterfall one. But do you have any tips and trick for us? Like we are amateur and beginner if we talk about the agile things, because yeah, we usually do some project with the waterfall one. So basically, step by step, we can't just pass the step to another step first. So do you have any tips and trick for us so we can implement the agile method? Prof, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Tips and tricks, yeah. If you ask me tips and tricks, I don't think there are tricks for agile. You have to experience it. You have to, yeah. Now you are in your 5th semester, am I right? 5th semester.
Yep.
How long is your study program? 6 semesters or 8?
8. It's normally 8.
semesters.
Yeah.
So inshallah, you will have 3 more semesters.
I mean.
Inshallah. So I would say you for now try to gather this knowledge. Try to make sure. I cannot say that. If you ask me sincerely, I will ask. There's no tips and tricks. You have to try it. You have to get involved in the team. Okay, I can give you examples. Yeah. My team, there is a mixture of very expert programmers, middle level programmers, and basic programmers, basic level foundation programmers. Okay. From my experience, from my observation, the very basic can move to intermediate and then can move to expert. Okay. Again, of course, it must come from themselves. They must have the passion to learn. Not only learn by themselves, but they learn from their mentors. Okay. I'm again smiling because one of my team members learn from his coach and then they get married recently. So that's another story. But the thing is, the passion to learn can move you from a basic person with foundation level skills to intermediate and then to expert. Okay, we have one programmer actually who initially is has very basic skills, but then he moved to intermediate and then moved to the expert programmers by learning and by doing, and finally he became actually one of the core programmers. But finally, somehow he is very good. Now I lose him because he went to other other companies. So see, you have to learn. There's no tips and tricks. Although yes, you are still learning. If you have the opportunity to get involved with any real software development projects outside, it's a good experience actually, because I know some undergraduate students who do freelance work. Of course, you must have a team. You cannot work alone. Okay, so that's maybe one of the steps that you can start developing your skills. Nowadays, for your information, my team, for example, Mr. Lokman will actively look for videos from Udemy and so on to learn new skills. Okay. All right. So that's my answer for that, Dimas.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I have already some idea how to develop my experiences for the agile method. So basically, there's no tips and trick. Just learn and have more experiences, right, Prof?
Yes, and also I think from my experience with my team, the Scrum Master's role is very important. They are the one who actually drives the whole team. They are the one actually that make sure that everybody collaborate with each other. If one of them cannot cooperate, the work won't finish. The work won't be delivered as expected or as planned. So I'm grateful actually to all my Scrum Masters in my team. I think 3 of them are here probably. I'm not sure the other 3 because I see 3 names here, Farizi, Wan Luqman, Nubairuda. I'm not sure. There are 2 more, Miss Rafida and Miss Aisha, and 1 more, Miss Aklima is also one of the Scrum Masters, but she's on study leave now. So we are lacking of 1 Scrum Master. So in a way, it a bit delay the team, okay? But Alhamdulillah, so far, so good.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for the answer. I already well explained enough for the answer. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe we can continue for the next question for the participant. Okay, Ibrahim Hafizan, raise his hand. For Hafiz, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dimas. Thank you, Prof. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Hafiz. I'm the 5th semester of Information Systems student. I would like to have a question regarding to your explanation. Can we somehow integrate 2 types of framework? Maybe we can use Waterfall and Agile at the same time at the same project, because in enterprise, enterprise architecture, we have 2 different framework that can be used together in one project. Can we do the same thing in this app development? Can we integrate them both somehow and use them together? I think that's all my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting question. If you ask me, I would say no. Why? Because Agile is a project management approach, whereby there is a very systematic ways of doing things. Okay, I don't know. Hafizan is asking me this question. Probably you have seen people integrating both. But from my experience, I would say you should use either one, either Waterfall or Agile, either one. Okay, because its own approach, which is sequential. Agile has its own phases. It should be done iteratively. So if you ask me, my opinion, you should only choose one.
Okay. I think that's clear enough. Maybe I can discover it more, and I tell you if I found any or group that.
If you find, please share with me. I'm interested to know.
Yeah, sure, I will. Okay? Thank you. Right. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, welcome. I would like to ask, have you used the wireframing software before?
I don't think so.
No, not yet. Halim, I saw thumbs up. Have you used any wireframing tools?
Does Figma count as wireframing tools?
What is it?
Figma, Figma.
What does it do? I haven't used it.
It kind of like a design software, so we can create a frame of a certain devices for example, maybe iPhone or maybe Apple MacBook. I can probably show you one. Wait, let me open up my Figma and share some of my projects.
Boleh ya, Dimas?
Is it okay, Dimas?
Go on. No problem.
Okay. Okay. So wait.
Dania ni dosennya.
Yes.
You look like a student.
Thank you. That's actually a compliment.
So I would like to share my Figma app. What is it? Can you see it now?
Yes.
So basically, it's like a designing tools that I personally use to create some of the user interface. Something like this, and also
So you can connect each screen to other screens, is it?
Yes, it does something like this. We can also make a prototype so we can see how it looks like in the real devices. Wait, it's still loading. Yes, something like this. So we can go to each frames that we have created. Does this count as the prototyping?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is one of the wireframing tools. The one I shared just now, one of it, proto.io.
Yeah.
It's almost similar like Figma that you use.
Yeah.
The other two that I shared, Balsamic and Mockups, is less not user friendly, but the UI doesn't look that good as Figma and proto.io. Because Balsamic is quite old. Well, I'm like makcik, right? Like, but yeah, I'm trying to move to the newer generation. Farizi, Lokman, Dura, maybe we should change to others, not use Balsamic anymore. They don't want to be dinosaur. Okay, so sorry. Actually, I'm asking that question because probably if you don't have any more questions, I can ask Mr. Farizi to show, but it's okay. I think since some of you have got the idea, and I think it's quite straightforward, you can just go to, like, for example, Figma, proto.io, you can try. Okay, thank you, Dimas.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Also, thank you for Halim. Because I think the question and answer session is already time's up. So we can continue to the next session, which is the closing statement session for Prof. Noorminshah. If you have some thought or some statement that you want to give to us as the closing statement, time is yours, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. I would just like to share this. Since you are all in your 5th semesters, inshallah, you're going to do your final year project. When is it? Next semester or final year project? Semester 7.
Yep, 7.
Semester 7. So I think this is one of the opportunities that you can have new knowledge, new point of view of system development. Okay, so probably you would want to use it for your final year project, probably. Okay, so if you have a real customer or real user for the system that you will want to develop, so probably it is a good idea for you to use this agile method. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I would say try to explore tools, for example, the wireframing tools. Okay, and finally, I would say because I'm not sure, because the others don't ask much questions except for those who ask questions. So for Halim, for example, he keep on saying that you have so many assignments. So, so I just want to tell you this. Please enjoy your university life. I know it's very hard. You sleep less sleep, lots of assignments. Sometimes you see Halim is doing an app for mental health. I hope you don't have any mental health issues. Okay. So I understand, especially during this this situation whereby everything is online. It's not fun, not meeting your friends, right? So just enjoy. Please just enjoy your university life and try to get as many skills as possible. And inshallah, you will be a good systems developer if that is your intention. Okay, but because some students would like to do research, do masters, PhD. Okay, that's another world. So that's another part of the world whereby you want to become a system developer, you want to become a Scrum master, and also maybe you want to become an entrepreneur who develop a startup company. Okay, for those who really wanted to become a Scrum master, I think there are certifications of Scrum master, which later maybe you can explore to become a certified Scrum master. Okay. So I think that's all for my conclusion. Any thing that you want to share, Farizi, Lokman, Dura? Oh, kata-kata ucapan untuk adik-adik ni? Tak ada. Actually, my share of thoughts with you about enjoy your university life is what I just discussed with Miss Normaidura maybe last 2-3 days. Because I have a nephew who started doing diploma last 2 semester but haven't seen his friends since day 1 of doing diploma. So, no life, no university life. But we cannot do anything, right? Because of this situation, inshallah things will get better. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much, Dimas. And thank you very much, everyone. Miss Dania and Mr. Taufik, thank you very much. I hope at least you learn something from me, okay?
Of course. We learned so much from you. Thank you, Prof. Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for the closing statement. Before we close our event, first of all, there is a feedback and present form, which will be shared by one of the committee. For those who are responsible, please share the feedback and present form into the chat session. Okay, the present and feedback form already shared by the committee in the chat, in the Zoom chat. I would like to inform to all participants, please do fill the present feedback form first, so you can get the certificate for this guest lecture today. Okay. While you filling the form, the present feedback form, we would like also to invite you to open your camera because we will have some photo session, so we can have documentation. Like what Prof. Noorminshah said, the documentation is important. So we should have some documentation for today's guest lecture. Okay, I'd like to invite you to open your camera for all the participants, please. Okay. For the responsible committee, maybe Hafiz, time is yours.
Okay, guys, maybe you can open up the camera, and maybe Brava, can you remove the spotlight so I can have a wide view from all of the participants? All right, great, thank you. Okay, guys, I'm still waiting for you to take all of your photos. All right, is that all? Okay, maybe I can take one photo, right? Okay. Still waiting. Okay, there's only one slide here. So on count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hafiz. Okay, for the very last session, I would like to invite maybe Mr. Taufik or Ms. Tania for some statement from both of you. This time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, Dimas. And I want to thank you so much for Professor Noorminshah for giving this lecture session. Maybe I would also apologize because we certainly lack of the participant of the guest lecture. So maybe in the next section that you will give in the other meeting, it will have more participant. And please don't be cerah in English. What is cerah?
Apa bahasa Melayunya?
Cerah, what is cerah? Wait, I will ask to Google. Okay, worry.
No, don't worry. Okay. Disappointed, disturbed.
Yes, that's it. Because the lack of students, but we learned so much, and thank you for having this wonderful session with our students. And see you in the next guest lecture at Monday, actually, in the
Inshallah,
18th.
yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I would like to thank everyone who asked me those questions.
Okay.
It's very inspiring and make me think a lot.
And also Dr. Noorminshah, thank you for calling me students because I was very happy to see that my face is still young. Okay.
I'm impressed because all those who are on their camera are, male students. So I thought I have one female student who on the camera. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you inshallah next time.
See you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Good, Dimas.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nania, for joining. Maybe from Mr. Taufik, is there any statement?
Dari saya cukup, saya pakai bahasa Melayu aja, Bu.
Boleh.
Terima kasih banyak, mudah-mudahan sharing pengalamannya ini bisa bermanfaat bagi adik-adik dan untuk perkembangan selanjutnya, seperti itu aja.
InsyaAllah. Dan itulah harapan saya. Mudah-mudahan serba sedikit ada kebaikannya lah yang saya kongsikan.
Iya, mudah-mudahan jadi ilmu manfaat.
InsyaAllah.
Ya, gitu aja cukup. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. Taufik. That's all for our guest lecture today. Before we end the event for this afternoon, I would like to invite you guys to end this with the prayer. Prayer start. Prayer end. Thank you very much for all the participants who already came to this guest lecture today. Thank you very much once more for Prof. Dr. Noorminshah for the time and chances. And I would like to apologize if I have some mistake while I'm being the master of ceremony for today. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much, Prof. Have a nice day.